everyone. 40 millions of Americans suffer from anxiety. 16 million suffer from depression. It's a huge problem. And today we would like to talk about the cause of it and what we can do to reduce these symptoms. So in every problem, the key element is what is the problem? That question. But more important than that is the question of what is the root of the cause of the problem. And after that, what are all possible solutions? And after that, choose the best solution and take action. So the key element is what is the root cause of the problem, because so many times people can get carried away with the outside symptom of the problem and they do not get to the bottom of the issue. And in the end, what is the best solutions and take action? Because always something is better than nothing. So doing something is better than taking no action. Because Nike commercial says what? Just think about it, just wait till you feel like it, or just do research, just have a bunch of committee meetings, just have meetings after meeting after meeting, procrastinate. Is that what the Nike commercial says? No, Nike commercial says just do it. Take action, do something. So that's what we are going to do. Because if you walk into a house and if you see smoke, what is the real problem? You are right if you said fire. Smoke is, yeah, it's a problem. Open the window, open the door, get the smoke out. But if you do not get to the bottom of the problem, the cause of the smoke, which is fire, you are always going to have repeated issue. So when it comes to anxiety, there are two explanations, common explanation and remedy. One is it has something to do with your brain, that your brain chemistry is not in balance, so you need to take medication. But then other remedy is cognitive therapy, counseling. Those are the two answers. But because we Americans, we're so into easy fix, we are so into science, just thinking, oh, it's something to do with my brain, it's my chemical imbalance, and taking medication, that seems to be usually what people run to. And if your psychiatrist or your doctor tells you taking medicine will fix your anxiety, they're not telling you the whole truth. Now, taking medicine may stabilize you and helps your mood so you don't act out on it, but it's definitely not going to fix the problem. Because just like if you get rid of the smoke, that doesn't mean you're going to get rid of the fire. Because this is my issue with it's your brain answer. Because if it has to do with my brain, that it's heritage, that I inherit this from my parents, then as a baby, I should suffer from anxiety from the get-go. As a baby, when I'm born into this world, from that point on, I should have been suffering from anxiety. But that's not what I see in typical babies. Babies are born with smile, they laugh at you. When we are young, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years old, we ask our mom, look at me. When we are doing something simple, we just full of confidence and freedom and purity. That's what I typically see. I don't see babies, toddlers being born with anxiety in typical situations. So I'm not really convinced with this answer that your brain is the problem. But then for the sake of argument, let's say that is true. That is true. Yeah, it is my brain. But then ultimately the question is just like the Nike commercial says, just do it. What are you going to do about it? Because you have to, there are people who are born without arms, without leg. What do? They adapt, they cope. They do not let not having arm, not having leg, even though this is horrible, horrible tragedy, horrible, horrible, crippling issues, they do not let that keep them down from living life. They live life to the fullest with smile on their face. So this is what I'm talking about. And my another objection is, if you have this belief with typical people who have anxiety, depression, that if you believe I'm worthless, or I hate myself, or I'm not good enough, no medicine can fix that. Even brain surgery will not fix that. If you believe I am worthless, I hate myself, I'm not good enough, bad things will happen to me, all these gloom and doom belief. Now, I'm not saying they're not real, but because it is real. There's a saying, perception is reality. So if you believe that, guess what? It will become reality. And this leads us to the next topic. In cognitive behavior therapy, the reason I have the empty chair and the little kitty there is I want to keep my identity private. But then here is some stimulating visual graphic for you to keep you from falling asleep. Okay, so ABC model. ABC stands for A, activating event. So if that's hard to remember, just think of it as when something happens, right? The beginning, when something happens, especially when something bad happens, okay? This is incredibly powerful model. This is like, once again, incredibly powerful model. Write this down and you need to really know this. A, activating event. Okay. B, A will lead to B, and B will lead to C. And it becomes a vicious cycle. It's like self-feeding monster. This becomes a vicious cycle. So A, especially when something bad happens in early part of your life, such as abandonment through divorce, separation of the parent, sexual abuse, physical, verbal abuse, being bullied, having high expectation, pressure put on you to perform, to be good enough. And if you receive neglect, these activating events will lead to false, distorted, toxic belief. Why? Because here is the thing about human nature. We human beings, this is our nature, this is not nature. We human beings always ask why is this happening? We all know little kids, little children always asking the grown-ups, why is like this? Why is this? Why is this? Why? Drive us crazy, okay? But that's normal. This is it's in our human nature to ask why. Why does something happen? And the second of our human nature is we put meaning into event. Okay, repeat this after me. We put meaning into event. This is incredibly crucial. This is what we do. We do this every time, every day. We put meaning into event in terms of what does this mean and what does this say about, number one, me, number two, about people, number three, about life, number three, about world. So what you say in terms of these statements, what does this say about me, people, life, world? This is what leads to what we call world view. This is your belief. This is your rule of the game. This is what to you what's true. That's what it leads to. And your belief will dictate, get ready for this, if you ever wonder why do I make bad decisions, it's your belief that's going to lead to how you make decisions. So this model, ABC model, once you have negative events, abandonment, sexual abuse, physical, verbal abuse, being bullied, having high expectations, pressure put on you to perform, to be good enough, to measure up, to earn your right to be accepted. All these things will lead to belief. And if your belief is false, distorted, biased, twisted, toxic, negative, you know the saying, garbage in, garbage out. Based on these negative, toxic belief, it's gonna lead to the consequence of how you make decisions in your life. And once it leads to negative, unhealthy, undesirable consequences, it goes into a cycle. It becomes what we call self-fulfilling prophecy. You say, oh, nothing ever good will happen to me. And then that belief leads to negative consequences. And then you go, oh, you see, I am right. This means I am right. You see, I told you, I'm a screw up. I'm cursed. Nothing ever good will happen to me. I told you I'm worthless. I told you I'm not lovable. It becomes a vicious, self-fulfilling prophecy. So what are some of the consequences? Like I said, you make bad choices, garbage in, garbage out. Just like if you drink poison, you're gonna get sick. So if you say I'm worthless, I'm not good enough, what that leads to is you're gonna hang around with. If you have a choice, with hanging around with losers and winners. Guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna hang around with losers. Now I'm not putting them down. I'm just trying to get my points across. You're gonna, instead of hanging around with winners, healthy people, you're gonna hang around with losers. Why? Because I'm not good enough. If you're not good enough, how can you hang around with winners? What are you, like hypocrites? No. I'm not good enough, so I'm gonna only hang around with losers. And also being among the losers, it's comfortable. There's nothing to compare yourself to. It's not gonna lead you to feel like you are worse than other people. So there's comfort in that. And then losers, people with issues in their life, when you do something that's not healthy for you, they don't care. Right? Like you want to do alcohol, you want to do drug, hey, you want to join us and do drug, alcohol, this is how we ease our pain. They don't care if you're going to hurt yourself. I got my own issues, right? Yeah. So there is definitely comfort in hanging around with losers. Codependency issues. And then you're going to have you find yourself in abusive relationship. It's a self-sabotaging behavior. You pick losers as your mate, and it leads to abusive relationship. And then you say, you see, I'm right. Why did Johnny do this to me? Well, you see, because I'm not good enough. I'm worthless. So you become your worst enemy. And then other consequence. You don't know how to say no to people. Because who am I to say no to people? I'm worthless. At least people are talking to me. When people come and ask me to do something, at least they want me in some way, right? There is comfort in that. So who am I to say no to people? Because also the codependency issue, if you don't feel valuable, there are only two places you're going to feel valuable. Like so many things in life, there are only two places, okay? Two choices, two places where you're going to, there's an answer to your issue, typically. It's either going to come from inside or outside. So if you say, I'm not valuable, okay, inside, the solution from inside is out of the question. So what does that leave us? What is that only thing that leaves us is outside. It's the outside who has to make you feel valuable. So who's the outside? Other people. Other people has to make you feel valuable because you don't feel you are valuable. That game is over. Only thing left is it has to come from external, outside. So there comes codependency issue. You depend on other people for these things to make you feel valuable. And if you depend on people, you need people to make you feel valuable. How can you say no? They will be ticked off if you say no. They're going to be going away. So that's what happens. So the other consequence, you become people pleaser. All right? And then you don't like these things, right? You don't like these things, right? You don't like it, but then you are stuck because you don't like. How can you get out of these things, right? Right? You feel like you're stuck. But the thing about belief is that belief can be changed. Now it takes some effort. It's not easy because the truth, believing the truth, and also believing what's healthy for you, what's good for you, right? That's not easy. For example, we all know there's germs that cause people to be sick. But then in the past, long time ago, before, we had to come out with germ theory, and then they had to fight tooth and nail against the general science community to accept germ theory, because best of the scientists would not believe the germ theory. And the one who popularized the germ theory, Louis Pasteur, he had to fight for his theory. People made fun of him. People ridiculed him. People even persecuted him, right? Yeah. So this obvious truth, like germ theory, that there are germs that cause you to be sick, it had to be fought because the best scientists, some of the best scientists refused to believe that. So people having difficulty changing your belief, there's nothing new. Long time ago, people thought Earth was flat, and it took incredible amount of effort for people to change their view. Oh, Earth is round, right? Long time ago, we Americans in the South, we thought people with certain race were inferior, right? The society, the culture of the South said the black Americans are inferior. So if you were black American, you had a choice. Either you believe what the society said, the culture said, and believe it and go along with it, or you put up a fight. You put up a fight and say, you are wrong. I have courage. I have dignity, which is what they did. But it took long time for this belief of racial inferiority to be overcome. So changing your belief is not easy, but we must do it if you believe in the truth and the healthiness of your being, if you believe all those things. So we're going to talk about that more in the future video. Thank you.